And Jim Kaat joining us here in studio here. Inside Studio 21, he'll have the call on the showcase game tonight here on the network. It's the Blue Jays and the Yankees from Yankee Stadium. Jim, we appreciate the time. What was that moment like? What was that experience like?
Unbelievable. You have a dry run and you're out at the facility when it's an open field. I looked out there and I said, must be like Freddie Mercury at Live Aid. I mean, it looked like Woodstock.
Yeah.
35,000 people, but I was lucky. I had 7 months to prepare.
Yeah.
And they want you to keep Sandy Koufax, which I got a wonderful congratulatory call from Sandy, and last words were, keep your speech short. So, you're not the keynote speaker. There's 7 guys, so I kept paring it down, and yeah.
And among that group, Tony Oliva, who you know very well. That must have been extra special to go in there, be part of that class with him.
Yeah, it really was. When I think of Tony as a kid, yet he's 6 months older than I am. But I saw him in 1961 when he got released out of spring training because he just got out of Cuba. Nobody saw him. And maybe you know the story. He's in Charlotte and with Manny Mendoza, the Cuban godfather, and he's taking a little BP with the ground crew. General manager said, hey, this kid looks like he can get it. Let's send him to Withville. He couldn't come within 3 feet of a fly ball. 4 years later, he won a Gold Glove.
Wow.
So to see him develop into the player he became and be his friend for 60 years and teammate for a lot of years was special.
That's great.
Yeah. All right, so I was just looking at Jim's baseball reference.
Yeah.
1966, north of 300 innings.
Different game, man.
Yeah.
Different breed.
Now it's Sandy Alcantara. 75, you did it again. Mm-hmm. But we're seeing some things this year. Justin Verlander, 39 years old, coming back from Tommy John, dominating. There's some guys who are getting a little age on them that are absolutely been dominant. What have you been most taken aback, especially Justin Verlander?
Well, what I see, and when I saw him, I've done 2 Houston games this year. This guy's a monster. I mean, he's 240 pounds or something. Yeah. But when you look at guys like Justin and Max Scherzer, I look at their leg strength, and you're never going to pitch 9 innings. Louis Tiant and I in spring training used to go through our motion after we pitched 6 innings, use our legs. It isn't your arm that gives way, it's your legs. So when I look at these 2 guys, you look at their lower half, they got great leg strength in addition to their great ability, and I think come postseason, there are a couple guys that the managers could say, here it is, go the distance.
Go get it.
Yeah.
Well, Jim Kaat certainly knows about longevity. Pitched 2+ decades in the bigs, pitched into your age 45 season, so you definitely know what you're talking about. Tonight, you will have the call along with Bob Costas and J.P. Morosi. Blue Jays and Yankees, obviously important games for both. The Yankees, a big win yesterday. Jose Barrios will get the start for the Toronto Blue Jays. You've seen him pitch for quite a few years, going back to his days from Minnesota. What have you seen from him this year?
Well, I was telling D-Row, I looked at the numbers. He's throwing more strikes with his fastball, yet his fastball is getting hit. That tells me that, any pitcher will tell you the number one priority is command of your fastball. And he's got an outstanding curve, but I have a feeling that with all these scouting reports and everybody getting breaking ball crazy, that if you throw your breaking ball early and you fall behind, then you have no choice. And I had an old pitching coach, Eddie Lopat, and he said, when you're facing Mickey Mantle, curveball you miss, what are you down to? Fastball. So gamble with your fastball early in the count and make your curve, which his curve is almost unhittable, work for you. And so far it's been working against him.
Jim, what do you got on the New York Yankees? How big a win, especially with where they're at in the standings? You've been on a ton of teams in your career. They're sitting there with a 10-game lead. Everything feels, but it feels like the world's closing in on them.
Right.
How big do you think that win was last night for the Yankees, the players, as opposed to kind of quieting the critics and the fans?
Oh, it was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, as a pitcher, you're so uncomfortable when you're starting against a team that has been struggling like that, because you say, I got to keep him, and the way to keep him at bay is to be aggressive, and then to come back, and typical Yankees, they hit 3 home runs, accounted for 7 runs. That's the way they win. But I think what gets lost with a lot of these teams, and I always say the 1998 Yankees was the best team in the last maybe 30, 40 years that I've seen. And you know all the stars, but it was their bullpen. And now when the Yankees lose Holmes and Chapman's not been
Michael
pitching,
King killed
right.
them.
So now they, even last night, you know, Chapman gave it up, but they came back and won it. So, yeah, I think that win was huge for them, taking a deep breath and going against a guy tonight who, unless he improves, is leading the league in home runs allowed.
Yeah.
Jim, as I mentioned, you'll be in the booth tonight with Bob Costas and J.P. Morosi. Now, you have told us, a few of us, privately, but you've yet to announce publicly, this is going to be your last game in the booth.
Yeah.
What went into this decision? Why now?
You know, when Tony Kubek recommended me in 1995, he said, I've had enough, and I was honored to cover the Yankees for 12 or 13 years. But I think today it's time for a younger guy to sit next to Bob Costas, who maybe even has been impacted by analytics.
Yeah.
You know, I walk into a clubhouse right now, basically I'm a stranger. I mean, I'm going to be 84. I don't blame them. They don't even know I played. But so I think, right?
My own kid doesn't know I played.
Right.
He's 12.
Yeah. So I just think, you know, it's time for a younger guy to take that seat. I've enjoyed it. We've done some great games. But as we got into this year, I started having the feeling that, you know what, it's time to ride off and let some young guy who has played and knows the players and knows how the analytics have either helped him or hurt him to take that chair and share it with the viewers.
Well, congratulations
on
an amazing career as a player and as a broadcaster.
Hall of Famer.
A Hall of Famer, absolutely. We're definitely in awe of what you're able to do on the field and behind the microphone.
Well, thank you. I've been very fortunate. 64 seasons I've been involved in Major League Baseball. I mean, as Lou Gehrig said, I'm right there with him, man. I got to be the luckiest guy in the world.
Well, it's definitely you leave behind an impactful legacy. That's for sure.
Thank you.